Hello, I am roaringbug and welcome to my Sims 4 speed build. Today I am making a white Victorian house. I make a lot of Victorian houses, so this is white Victorian number 8. This is a house that is completely base game, so if you like it, you can get off the gallery at roaringbug, all one word. Please like, subscribe, or leave me a comment if you like my video. I greatly appreciate it, and it really helps out my channel. So without further ado, I'll talk about the process of how I'm making this build. So as you saw at the beginning of my video, I had a reference picture of this build. So the reference picture I had a floor plan, but I didn't follow it because floor plans don't translate well in The Sims. But I wanted to capture the spirit of the design of this Victorian build, and I tried my best to recreate it from like the front onwards. Like my build method is try and make it look good from the front and work your way back. And I wanted a platform on this tower so that I could put a trim on it, but you can't put a trim without the platform, and because it's in a regular shape, I just duplicated the room, deleted the walls and the ceiling just so I could place it there. So the outside of the house looks a little chunky because I always do my porches as rooms. I always feel like it's easier to make a porch by building a room and just putting the spandrels and the fencing. So it'll open and reveal itself when it's all done. Right now I'm just doing all the roof pieces and putting it together. So there, the big reveal. Behold the porch space. So this house, I didn't really know what it looked like in the back, so I always make up what the sides and the back look like in my builds. And you know, I think like I can do that pretty well because I've made a couple of builds lately because I make a lot. I don't know, I like building this style of home. I like Victorian houses. I think they're really pretty. And you know, if you can tell me what your favorite house is, your favorite architectural style, because you know, I always swing back from either doing like a mid-century or I end up doing a Victorian house. They're just my favorite go-to style of home. So, you know, I am just going through the motions here. You saw that I deleted the porch for a second. I feel like that's a pretty early mistake that builders do when they're first starting out building. It's really easy to undo that. You just go to the top and press the arrow key to go back and undo what you just did. Or if you want, you can just click that space and just say you want to add a floor. So it's really easy to put a floor back in a build. But I remember when I was first learning how to build, I used to do that a lot. So, you know, that's just a little tip on how to bring it back. So now I'm trying to do the coloring for the build. So the build is white and like it has a lot of red brick. So I made red the accent color in this house. And you're gonna see a lot of back and forth with the colors because it takes me a while to get there. So there's a lot of back and forth with some of the windows, especially on the top of the tower, and also the wallpaper inside the house. So you'll see a lot of indecision. I kept it in my speed build just because you're gonna see that the color is gonna change on the walls. So, you know, I just left it in. I mean, no build starts out perfect. So, you know, I know it looks like I know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm trying to figure it out as I go, trying to make this build happen. I don't know if a lot of people realize it, but builds take a while to do. It took me like about close to 2 hours to make this build, but I've condensed it to about 20 minutes of footage. So it's sped up really fast, but you know, I gotta I'm trying really hard not to make it sped up so fast that it's confusing to see what I'm doing. So what I like to do when I make a build is I like to put all my windows on the house. I know some people like to leave windows for later because they like to do the floor plan first and then put the windows on the house so they know it's going to fit properly inside the build. But I like putting all the windows where I think they make sense on the house just because I like doing it systematically. Like, I like working everything on the exterior and the landscaping and then working inside the house from the first floor up. So I just think it makes more sense to work on a build one section at a time. Some people might not, because I know like the catalog is a little everywhere, so they might find something they like and then they put it in later on in the build. I usually tend to do that if I'm decorating, but I'm not really heavy-handed with clutter, so you know, I'm kind of light on clutter. But since this house is base game, if you download it, you can replace or decorate it as much as you want. So all of the landscaping is debug items, and for those who don't know, debug items is all the decoration that your Sims can't interact with. They're just decorative set pieces. But with key commands, you can access them and you can use them as decoration. And I like using them because I also like playing The Sims. And if you play The Sims, your lot and the expenses you have to pay for the house accumulates based on how expensive your property is. So since I'm using all free bushes and plants and flowers, they don't add to the cost of the lot. So even like when I do my own gameplay, I don't normally buy any plants. I just use the debug plants. So that's my thinking behind it, because I'm also thinking as someone who plays the game. I started out just playing the game, and I think as most people do, I've evolved into a builder. So I'm using alt placement in order to put all these bushes and stuff here. It makes sense if you know what building is like. I'm doing all of the landscaping first because I later on I knew that I wanted to raise this house at least 3 steps high, 3 to 5 steps high. I think this house ends up being like 3 steps high just for the porch and everything. But when you try to do the landscaping and the house is raised up like 3 steps, all the plants want to jump up to that platform level. So in order to avoid it, you do all your landscaping first and then you raise your house up. And it saves you trying to fight the landscaping from jumping up. I also raise the house because sometimes plants kind of clip into a build if you put them too close. But if they're raised up a little bit, you don't see the clipping because it's in the platform of the house. So that's the method of why I do this madness of trying to do all the landscaping first. So again, the roof of the build, like the chimney, is a red brick. So I just wanted to carry that red brick into the pathways into this house. So that's why like all the fencing is red brick, and like the back deck in the yard is all red brick. And I just wanted to, it kind of just like evolved from that to be the theme color in this house. I think finding a theme color in a house really helps, especially when you're trying to like furnish a house, because if you don't have a color scheme in mind, it gets really hard to try and figure out how to decorate. So this is where the red came in from the house, but I've done houses with like green interiors and yellow interiors and blue interiors. But you know, like I'm not trying to do like a primary color house. I just want like the red to be like the accent color in the home. just so that it has some kind of like direction. Because when you make a house, sometimes it's a little overwhelming and you don't really know what to do. For my own gameplay, what I normally do is when my sim ages up to a teenager, when they age up, they get like pre-made clothing in cast, and I'm like, the color that they wear in the first everyday outfit, that ends up becoming their primary color, their theme color. So that's what I normally do in my gameplay. Though if you have another sim with a good relationship, ask a teenager sim what their favorite color is. I think even when they're a child, you can ask a child sim what their favorite color is, and the game will just pick one. So if you want it to be like super random, you can do it that way too. So, you know, I found this fence in debug and I was like, I'm gonna put it in the front of this house just because I think it really helps with the Victorian look of this home. The hard part is trying to free place it in the right spot without having it look wonky. So, you know, I'm trying to like nudge it in the right place. And I put a fireplace and like outdoor patio furniture out here, and I put some planters out here just so that the space has some gameplay, because like if you grow plants in The Sims, I also put like a chess table out there, like your Sims can make pretty good money in game just growing plants. And you know, I'm just trying to figure out like what the layout is now. So I moved on into the interior of the house. So I'm trying to figure out the stairs. Usually like when you figure out where the stairs goes in a house, it kind of like helps you figure out how to do the floor plan in a home. So this is the basic floor plan in the house. Eventually that larger long room in the back becomes 2 rooms, but I have to eventually get there. But you'll see it evolve as I start furnishing the home. So I'm just putting down all the archways and all the pathways and just trying to figure out like the flow of this house. So like the house, like I said, has like a red theme color in the interior, but again, it's gonna take me a while to get there because I just have to figure it out as I start furnishing the home. So first off, I wanted to put like a bathroom near the front door because it makes sense for gameplay. And I put the kitchen next to it because in real homes, plumbing is usually like all in the same area. So this kitchen is like a galley kitchen, and I just wanted it to look like an old-fashioned kitchen. And I put like these cabinets here, and they're pretty high. Like I have to say, like the cabinets are kind of unrealistically high, but there wasn't really too much I could do about it. And I doubled it up over the fridge side just because I wanted the cabinets to be even on both sides. And I found this gazebo. So this is a base game gazebo. Frankly, I think it's one of the best base game items in build mode. It's not even like debug, it's in build mode in the game. Like it looks really nice. So this area now I'm furnishing is the living room. So this house is old-fashioned, so I just wanted it to look very grand and pretty. So I just put like a lot of old-style furniture in this front room. I really like that wallpaper, the two-tone with the wood paneling on the bottom. It's one of my favorite wallpapers in the game. I don't use it for this build because I eventually go red, but that wallpaper is really nice. It's just that the hue of the tones of the colors looks really good. It actually has a really good pink swatch too. But I like it because it's the most subdued and realistic wallpaper. It's just that you don't notice it because the first swatch of that wallpaper looks gross. I think it's like white and like a weird off green for the wood boarding. But the rest of the swatches look really good on it. But recently, like, I don't think it was that long ago that The Sims updated a lot of the base game swatches, and I think it's great. Like, it's really helped me try to make these base game houses look a lot more interesting, because like I can only do so many style of kitchens and bathrooms with just the base game. But the thing about why I choose to just make base game houses, I'm pretty sure I've said it before, is because the gallery filter isn't that great. Like, you can just filter for, I don't know, like maybe you just have seasons, or maybe you just have cats and dogs. But if you filter just for like 1 or 2 packs that you own, the gallery doesn't do that. It'll show you everything. But if you use a hashtag and just say you want to just find base game, it's actually easier to find builds with just base game. And everyone has base game, so that's why I just build with base game. Because like personally in my own gameplay, I like custom content, but I know that's something that not everyone can do, especially like if you just play on like PlayStation or Xbox, I don't know, one of those like console games for The Sims. Like, I know that you can't get custom content, so that's another reason why I only just do base game builds. So this is when I finally figured out that this dining room area should be split. So I really wanted that room to be a skill building room, but I split it into a dining room and a skill building room, just because I thought it would make more sense, because I wanted to put a formal dining room in this house, just because it makes sense for the style of this home. Ideally, having a larger skill room would make sense for gameplay, but I will leave that up to you if you decide to get this house off the gallery. So I had some trouble with this stairwell. I wanted to have like an open stairwell, but the roof piece on the patio over the porch was clipping in. So what I did was just use a fence to just fence off the area that I wanted, and then delete the fence individually and the space I wanted to remove individually. And that seemed to do the trick. If you're also having trouble with that and that doesn't work, what you can do is draw a fence away from where you want it, pick it up with your mouse, and put it where you want it to be, lining the empty space for the stairway. And that will also work too. Frankly, trying to figure out stairs is really hard in The Sims. So this house ends up having 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. And it's a lot more red on the second floor than it is on the first floor. I liked red as an accent color, but I didn't want it to be everywhere, because again, I'm not making a single colored house, and like red is really intense, and if you're playing in this house, I don't want you to hurt your eyes looking at an entirely red house. Like, I wouldn't even hurt myself looking at an entirely red house. So I just made red in the bedroom area, because your Sims are just going to go upstairs just to sleep. But I move these kids' skill building items in this bedroom just because I think it makes more sense for gameplay. And again, I don't overly decorate. I just kind of want them to have the items they need. Occasionally I'll put some decoration, but I don't want to put too much. Because I want like the functionality of this house to be pretty good. But I don't normally build the houses for a particular sim. These houses that I build are more or less just my own personal build challenges. I just want to see if I can recreate these homes in The Sims. But I do use them when, like, I see a story progression household and they look like they're really hurting for space. So sometimes I'll just give them one of these houses that I make. And, you know, it's great because like I can see my sim visit a house I made for a friend. So that's the end of my video, and I'm just doing a last minute touches here and there, but thank you so much for watching and enjoy the screenshots. Bye!